This first one might be controversial. I cannot believe these are coming back around. I'm not sure I really get it. Every single one of these trends I'm passing on videos comes back to my high school fashion trend trauma at least once. Hi friends. Last week I talked about the fashion and trends I am loving right now, what I'm extra into lately. So of course we now have to balance the scales, do a little de-influencing, a little anti-haul, if you will, and talk about current fashion trends I am passing on and why. Just to give you and me a little moment of pause before buying into a trend without thinking about whether it's really going to be practical for your lifestyle or suit your style or have longevity in your wardrobe. The point of this video is not to say that these styles are ugly or bad or unstylish or that you shouldn't wear them, but rather just to give us all an opportunity to think twice about the styles we see popping up that all the cool girls are wearing and remind ourselves that we're already cool without having to buy or wear certain clothes. Okay, this first one might be controversial, but it's honestly the first thing that came to mind for me when I was planning for this video. Bag charms. Specifically like loading up a bag with a ton of different charms, and most specifically when the charms are little toys like plushies, Cupid dolls, Sunny angels, etc. I think this trend is fun, it's cute, I'm not a hater. I just think honestly, it doesn't feel like me at all. At first, this statement may seem contradictory to my style. If you know my style, you know I like color, detail, accessorizing, fun, playful touches, all traits of this trend. However, as I talked about in last week's video, I've realized some subtler aspects of my style are nuance and practicality. And I think for me, those traits are missing from these super decked out bag charm looks. Practicality wise, I think having a whole bunch of charms just feels quite cluttered to me. And even just a few seems impractical. Like they'd constantly be getting in the way or getting stuck on stuff or like clanging against everything that you walk past. I could do maybe like one at a time, but any more than that I think would just be sort of a nuisance when I'm trying to use my bag and navigate through the world. Also with the plushies in particular, I just feel like those would get so matted and dingy so fast. I don't know how y'all are keeping those clean and pristine. Maybe you have some skill or technique that I don't have, but for me, like soft, plushy, fluffy fabric is not a good material for something that I need to be able to like set on the ground, you know? Nuance wise, I think there definitely are bag charms that have a bit more subtlety, that feels more me, but this very trendy look right now of super cutesy charms like the plushies and like the little baby guys just feels very over the top, exaggerated, kitschy to me, which I love for people who love that, but I'm just not really sure it's me. And I might even go so far as to say, bravely, I'm not sure I really get it. It's hard for me to conceptualize the appeal of these plushies and dolls as fashion and decor, especially the vintage inspired little babies that, dare I say, I find a little creepy. Maybe that's part of the appeal though. I don't know. If this is something you love that really speaks to you, I would love to hear from you in the comments because I support you, but I just don't get it. All right, trend number 2 that I'm passing on is pointed toe shoes. This isn't even really something I'm opposed to. It's just something I've been seeing more and more and more. I think they look cute, but I just don't feel the need to add any to my wardrobe. Throughout my life, I've owned mostly round and square-toed shoes, I guess. That's what I tend to be drawn to. That's what I tend to like the look of on my feet. So I'll probably just stick with that. I do have to note, for the sake of transparency, I do own one pair of pointed toe shoes. It's these boots. I thrifted them last summer. I just repaired them and now I've finally been wearing them and I do love them. But it's not because of the pointed toe. That's more just like a side neutral feature. I think I would like them equally, or maybe even more, honestly, with a round or square toe. I will say, I don't necessarily think a pointed toe shoe is like a bad investment that will feel dated later, because even though I've seen certain toe shapes become more popular at different times, I have never in my life thought a square toe or a round toe or a pointed toe looked outdated. I feel like they're all sort of ever present and different ones just have peaks of popularity at different times. My point in bringing this up is really just to say, if you like your other shoes and you've never thought about pointed toe shoes before, but now you keep seeing like all the cool girlies wearing them and you feel like you should get some, I'm here to tell you, you do not need them to complete your wardrobe. At least to me, this really just doesn't feel like a wardrobe gap. It's like a thing that's not present in my wardrobe, but it is not a hole that needs to be filled. I don't think my style or my outfits would benefit from having it. I just don't particularly think these would work any better than what I already have. I may end up with more pointed toe shoes at some point if like there is a pointed toe on a pair of shoes that I really like for some other reason, but I will not be actively seeking out shoes with pointed toes specifically. Okay, can I tell you one thing that is not at all a trend and in fact a wardrobe essential that I will absolutely never pass on? Comfortable, durable socks, specifically from today's sponsor, Bombas. I literally cannot contain my enthusiasm for this sponsor because, can I show you something? These are my new Bombas socks. I love them. They're so comfy, but also I've been wearing these Bombas socks for over 5 years. This exact pair. They're still in excellent condition and they are, to this day, the most comfortable socks I've ever worn. They have this built-in arch support. They're so durable. They're just top of the line socks, man. I don't know what to say. I know they're just socks, but I love them. Bombas is also B Corp certified, and for every pair sold, a pair is donated to people experiencing homelessness. They do the same thing with all of their t-shirts and underwear sold. So when you shop here, you get a super comfy, excellent quality essential that you know you'll use, and you make a little extra positive difference in the world while you're at it. Cozy sock season is here. Gift giving season is here. I received these Bombas as a gift over 5 years ago, and honestly, they're probably one of my most used gifts I have ever received in my life. I even have a discount code for you all. New customers get 20% off their first purchase. So you can scan this QR code or click the link below and use code BEEPWORLD at checkout for that 20% off. All right, the next trend I am passing on is dark denim. This is an easy one to explain. I think it looks fine. It looks good, but I am just simply not a dark wash denim girly. As a kid, as a teen, as a college student, and still now, I've always just kind of been more drawn to a medium wash. Sometimes as like the trend tides would turn, I would be more drawn to a lighter medium or a darker medium, but the lightest light wash and darkest dark wash have never really appealed to me. I think maybe because at that point they don't really feel like classic blue jeans anymore to me. They feel like something else, almost like colored jeans, which I was also never into. Those colored skinny jeans of the 2010s, not for me. I was never that girl. To me, denim should be blue or neutral. Don't ask me to explain why neutrals are fine with me, but other colors aren't. I don't know. I also think dark denim in particular looks a bit more dressy and formal, and when it's dark enough, it sort of reads as navy blue, which is generally considered a more formal color and also was one of my colors in my childhood school uniform, which means it has repelled me ever since. I feel like every single one of these trends I'm passing on videos comes back to my childhood uniform or general high school fashion trend trauma at least once. But what is style but the manifestations of our lifelong experiences and strong emotional associations from childhood that are seared into our brains forever? Speaking of which, the next trend is boat shoes. I cannot believe these are coming back around, except that actually I can because everything comes back around just when you've forgotten how much you hated it before. But regardless, boat shoes are on their way back in, baby. I hate boat shoes for purely social reasons. Like, I can accept there's nothing inherently ugly or impractical or goofy looking about them. They just read so boy from my conservative high school who's about to go off to college and join a frat to me. I think anything that was a huge mainstream trend in my teen years is going to stir up some strong emotions for me. And especially when it's something I associate with a particular personality that I just do not jive with. And even at that time in high school and college, I kind of had beef with these shoes because they were just so emblematic of like a certain type of guy to me. Obviously, not everyone who wore or wears boat shoes is that way, but that is just the mental association that I have yet to move past. Honestly, some of the contemporary iterations I've been seeing of these have made me feel a lot more positively towards them than I did previously. I feel like someone could actually maybe sell me on like a classic grandpa boat shoe because it feels almost more like an Oxford or a loafer, which are types of shoes I do like. But if I like shoes that look like Oxfords or loafers, I would just wear Oxfords or loafers, you know? If the best this shoe can do for me is kind of resemble a shoe I like more, I fear it's not for me. Honestly though, the more I look at these, the more I am sort of starting to understand their appeal. I feel like I'm being hypnotized. Look away. Liz, be strong. This next trend is something I feel like I didn't see anywhere and then all of a sudden it was everywhere. And that is studs. Specifically like flat, round studs coating the surface of an item. Not just as trim, but it's like all over the whole thing. And I've seen it most on bags and shoes. This is another one that feels very 2010s, very high school for me personally. I don't have the same strong emotional associations with this one that I have with the boat shoes, but this also just isn't really my vibe and never really was. It feels quite like in-your-face edgy in a way that for me feels a little goofy and costumey because I am not in-your-face edgy like that. But then the edginess also feels kind of hollow and meaningless because it's such a huge mainstream trend that's just being slapped onto everything, and that's sort of inherently unedgy to me. I think these also just feel pointless to me. I mean, there's lots of things I love aesthetically that feel pointless, but the point is that they're pretty and interesting to look at, and that's reason enough for them to be there. But I just don't really find these pretty or interesting to look at all. So to me, every time I see them, I'm just like, why are these here? I guess this is truly just a matter of personal taste because you could easily say like, what are you doing here about ruffles or ribbons for decoration, which I do like, but those are pretty to me and these aren't. So that's that. Okay, the next trend I want to talk about is suede because I have seen so many people discussing this as a trend, but I have not really been seeing it manifest in actual clothing actual people are wearing. I'm sure I'll find photos when I look for them for this video, but I haven't seen any organically, so I don't even know if this is a real trend that exists or just a manufactured listicle item from a fashion publication. I know other things on this list are not all like hugely popular in the mainstream either, but everything else in this video, I have at least seen an uptick of on Pinterest or among fashion creators I follow or in the products being marketed to me. But this one is nowhere to be found, at least in my personal algorithm. I mean, Suede is always around, but like I haven't seen it more than usual. With all that said, people just saying something is a trend does absolutely nothing to inspire me and make me want to wear that thing. I like Suede. I have a Suede vest and a faux Suede coat in my closet already that I thrifted years ago. And of course I'll keep wearing them, but I am just not feeling any more drawn to them than usual just because people are saying it's a trend. A lot of other trends in this video are things I at least feel like a little compelled by because I'm seeing them styled so many different ways on real people with their real wardrobes. So it feels more applicable to my life and easier to imagine on myself, even if ultimately I'm still gonna pass on them. But in this case, there's not even any inspo, so I feel no emotional pull towards them. I don't know why I'm even ranting about this so much. It's like I'm not offering you anything valuable. I'm just complaining that people are telling me something is a trend, but I'm like, I don't think it really is, but maybe it is. I just don't care. But I care enough that I need to tell you about it, apparently. Also, okay, my one actual practical gripe with this is that despite the fact that I do own real and faux Suede, both secondhand, faux Suede always looks fake to me, like it's clearly not real Suede and it's almost like its own separate thing. So it's just like, whatever. And real Suede is really hard to take care of and really easily messed up by the elements, which like the point of clothes is that they can like take on and protect you from the elements, you know? It's the same issue as the plushy bag charms for me. Finally, our last trend is something similar to Suede, although I feel kind of differently about it. It's Cowhide. This is something I am excited by. I find it inspiring and unique. I feel like it's unlike a lot of other things out there. And I guess it's in the animal print family, but it doesn't have that girly glam association of other animal prints like leopard or zebra. This feels much more rugged and casual and kind of Western, which I really like aesthetically. However, the reality is, although I really enjoy looking at Western style and I'm inspired by it in very subtle ways, I think this is too undeniably Western for my style. If something is truly Western enough, I just know I won't wear it. I'll feel like I'm wearing a costume. It's the same reason I don't own cowboy boots. I also feel like we can't talk about this trend without talking about the cow print trend of like a few years back, which I also quite liked at the time. And I still like, even though it reminds me of that time quite distinctly. But even at that time, my like interest and investment in cow print passed quickly enough that I thought it was cool, but I wasn't like getting dressed on a regular basis thinking, I wish I had some cow print to add to this outfit. And I feel the same way about Cowhide. Cowhide does feel like it would have more longevity to me than cow print just because it feels more natural and kind of heritage and truly Western. It feels less manufactured. But either way, it's not something I find myself wishing I owned when I'm actually getting dressed and putting together an outfit. The only time I think about it is when I see it online and I go, oh, that's really cool. And then like the minute I've scrolled past the picture, it's exited my brain, you know? So I have no reason to bring it into my wardrobe. All right, that completes my list of current trends that I am passing on. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these trends or just any trends you're passing on in the comments. And as usual, my Instagram, Pinterest, and virtual personal styling services through the app Index are all linked in the description. Oh, and if you do, leave a comment, watch another video, and subscribe. I heard the fashion manifestations of your childhood demons will not come back into trend.